Spider-Man has had an interesting and overall messy ride as a media brand. From that 70s Spider-Man show with Nicholas Hammond, to the Spider-Man movie license being passed around from studio to studio like your local prostitute during the weekends, Spider-Man has had plenty of history from movies to animation and of course, video games. In fact, no other superhero other than Batman has come close to having the rich history and video games that Spider-Man has had ever since Neversoft's first ever Spider-Man 10 back in 2000. You probably have already noticed from my past uploads, but usually when I bring up Spider-Man, especially when I talk about Marvel, that's usually because he's my favorite superhero, and I think it's been criminal that I have uploaded this many videos and not once have I made one specifically about the web slinger. I originally decided to make this a two-parter, but I had a change of plans. You see, while I was writing the script for this video, I realized I had a lot to say about each Spider-Man game, and considering how long the script was already going to be, I decided to make this an individual review for each Spider-Man game, rather than making a massive video about every Spider-Man game. And there is no better time to do so than right now, especially with Spider-Man 2 right around the corner. Side note, I'll only be discussing the Spider-Man games I have played, so some Spider-Man games will be skipped unfortunately. Sorry, Edge of Time. So now that we have all this out the way,
ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts.
Be Spider-Man. Swing from buildings. Shoot webs. Bring down the bad guys.
this was my first introduction to Spider-Man. This game, alongside Spider-Man the Animated Series, is what made me interested in Spider-Man in the first place. In fact, the marketing for this game used clips from the animated series to make it seem like it's adapting the cartoon into the game. I remember my mom getting me this game for the PC. At first, I didn't know what to think since I had never even heard of the character before. However, me being like 3 years old, seeing the intro to this game and listening to the menu soundtrack, I was immediately hooked in. I mean, I was bumping heavy to this theme. The game starts out with Doc Ock, who looks like Coconut Head from Ned's Declassified, giving a presentation on his gift to humanity, which is obviously bullshit considering we know his ass is a villain, and Peter, who looks fly as fuck in his fit, smells the massive amounts of cap coming from his mouth.
Yeah, nice words, Octavius. If these executives knew you the way I do, I wonder if they'd be so quick to applaud.
This intro is also where we first meet Eddie Brock, who from the looks of it works as a photographer for James Jonah Jameson, who is the GOAT in my opinion. We then see an imposter dressed up as Spider-Man show up and ready to throw hands, and ends up stealing Doc Ock's machine, with one arm by the way. Eddie's stupid ass decides to continue taking multiple pictures, which gets the attention of imposter Spidey and causes him to smash his camera, which then throws Eddie into a tantrum and fortunately for us, causes Venom out into the wild.
Brock, you loser! If I had given a real photographer that job, I would finally have the evidence to send Spider-Man away forever! You're through, Brock! When I am done with you, you won't be able to get a job taking wedding pictures in Siberia!
I tried to fight it. Left on it! Can't fight it anymore! Again. Innocence falls prey to the evil of Spider-Man.
But of course, it's revealed later that Doc Ock was in on the whole thing and actually planned to get his ass beat. Anyways, he does his evil laugh alongside Carnage, who masks himself in the shadows, and fills all of New York with gas. We then are greeted by the god himself, Stan Lee.
Welcome, true believers and newcomers alike. Spider-Man co-creator Stan Lee here.
Holy crap, that gave me the biggest amounts of nostalgia, it's insane. Part of that being Stan Lee, the other part being her. Playing this game again after so long and after experiencing so many well-produced Spider-Man games, this game does take some getting used to, especially when it comes to the controls. I mean, they're very simple as they should be considering this is the first 3D Spider-Man game, and I'm pretty sure the first good 3D superhero game ever made. So the technicality to be able to pull this off as well as it did was probably insane considering the limited capabilities they had at the time. The story itself is really fun. They make each character stand out, whether through their character design, how they act, or the levels they're in, it doesn't matter. They all work so well in harmony. Our first mission is basically us taking down some goons as we head into a bank and try to stop a bomb from exploding inside. This is really just a tutorial mission where we get into the controls and try to take down multiple gunmen from hostages. The game allows us to crawl up the walls, web up baddies, and uses that to incentivize us to stealthily take down the enemies in order to keep the victims safe. When that's done, the gunmen suspect someone is messing with them and sets the bomb to explode. So in typical Spidey fashion, rather than try to stop the bombs from exploding by carefully removing the wires, we would rather just pick that shit up and throw them into a bank vault. Mind you, we are inside a building multiple stories high. The game's pace is fast and uses every second to keep us entertained, because as soon as we finish the first mission, we get a call from JJJ screaming for us to call the cops because we got Scorpion on demon time trying to get a first-degree murder charge on Jameson.
Jonah, I have shot to the bank robber.
Parker, shut up and dial 911. Scorpion's here, and you have to...
From there, we gotta swing through the Daily Bugle as fast as we can, as this specific mission is timed, and in our way are multiple gunmen trying to prevent us from getting there on time. The swinging is very one-dimensional, as obvious as it could be, since it's the first iteration of web swinging, but it's crazy how much of Spidey's gaming tropes originated from this game. Anyways, we get out from the first boss fight with Scorpion, and I'm not gonna lie, as a kid I was shitting my pants because Scorpion does not play. His tail was dangerous enough to seriously lower my health, and in the meantime, as we're fighting Scorpion, we also need to prevent him from getting onto Jameson. This boss fight allows us to either fight him up close or use our environments in our favor and throw whatever we have at our disposal at him, which is, in my opinion, the best way to beat him. After knocking Scorpion's goofy ass out, Jameson of course decides to call the cops on us, forcing me to leave. This is when we meet Daredevil. Side note, I hope Spider-Man 2 does things like this. I hope we get to see other heroes come and just talk to us for even just like a minute. It really adds to the overall world. But from there, we get what probably gave me my first ever experience with anxiety, because this mission is crazy. This mission as a kid managed to age me like 20 years because how frustrating it was to even complete it, which in hindsight is hilarious because going back and playing it again is a cakewalk. That being said, there are so many Easter eggs in this one chase sequence alone, from billboards showcasing other Marvel heroes to buildings from iconic Marvel landmarks to even Green Goblin's lair. It's crazy how much of these little Easter eggs I missed as a kid. After the helicopter chase, we get Venom announcing he stole our girl and manages to brag about it on live television.
Oh, we've got this beautiful redhead. You know her. She's one of those famous bimbos. We have decided that this poor little lassie has 24 hours to live. 24 hours! Oh, by the way, her name is Mary Jane Parker.
No, Mary Jane.
I love Venom so much. Venom is practically the second main character in this game, with how much screen time he gets. He starts out looking for Spidey, trying to make him catch him, and quite possibly the funniest chase sequence in any PS1 game. We go from swinging through buildings of New York to down in the sewers, but before that we actually get our first boss fight with him, which is very simple. Venom has the ability to disappear, and all we have to do is wait until he reappears again and just smack the ever-living shit out of him, which causes him to run away. Neversoft really excels on the boss fights here. For a PS1 game, all the boss fights are all unique in its setting and its gameplay. I already mentioned Venom, but I love Mysterio's boss fight as it's so wacky and it fits the character's use of illusions and trickery. Rhino's simple yet effective bullfighting like structure, which characterizes Rhino's simple-minded character. And Doc Ock's final boss fight, which emphasizes his scientific background and adds to his reliability for his love of science and his effective use of technology. But it ain't a Neversoft Spider-Man video game without talking about the massive symbiote-infested elephant in the room.
Whoa! What's up? Is that Ock?
Monster Ock. If the helicopter chase sequence earlier in the game gave me anxiety, then the Monster Ock chase gave me my first ever adrenaline rush because holy shit, I was dripping bullets trying to escape him. Literally every aspect of this chase works to absolute perfection, from the sound design to Monster Ock's ear-scratching screams to the buildings exploding. Everything about this made sure you finish the game in a high and works so well. It is by far one of the most memorable levels in any superhero game today, and in my opinion, it is probably the best chase sequence of any superhero game I've played. From there, we grab Cletus and Doc Ock and we get into the helicarrier where Black Cat, Captain America, and Venom are waiting for us, and here are the developers flexing their cameos because the entirety of the end sequence is pure gold.
Let's keep this a nice, friendly, clean game.
Who keeps inviting this guy?
Hey, will you guys keep it down?
Hey, loosen up, kids! I'm on fire!
While the gameplay overall is extremely and obviously simple, the care and love for the Spider-Man lore oozes out the screen, and I believe set the standard for superhero games at the time. Before Neversoft Spider-Man, all we really had was 2D superhero games, and judging by how nearly identical Treyarch's first Spider-Man game was with how the traversal and combat mechanics looked, Neversoft Spider-Man made sure to set up and bolster the future Spider-Man video games for success. Neversoft Spider-Man isn't talked about as much as games like Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, Insomniac's Spider-Man franchise, or the Arkham games are today, but the impact of this small yet colorful and lively attempt at a comic book character is still held to this day, and I, for one, will still cherish it.
Hey, wait! So, I'm a rhino, you're a scorpion, and he's an octopus. What's a Mysterio?